This video was for the women and the women only, so guys, go ahead and click off of this. They won't. No, I'm just kidding. Anybody can chime in on this subject, but it's geared mostly toward women. This video is inspired by the Tiger Woods fiasco that's going on right now. There's a couple of things I want to bring up, and then I'm going to get to the main point of the video. I'll start off by saying that I'm a little uncomfortable with how black women have been claiming Tiger Woods as black. First of all, he doesn't identify as black, which that in itself doesn't make you black or not black. I mean, either you are or you aren't, but that should be taken into consideration for one. For two, I don't think he really looks all that black. And for the record, he is only 1/8 black. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he doesn't look black at all or that you can't see black features on him, but I don't think he looks as black as people think that he does. I think what throws people off is the brown skin. If his skin were lighter, I don't think people would be after him so much about being black. And you can say, well, if you lighten anybody's skin, they'll look less black. No, because here's some black albinos, and they look black. They look like black people with light skin. And I can show you black people all day who have light skin but still would not be mistaken for anything but black. There's more to being black or white than your skin color. There's features and bone structure that go along with that. Now you may be saying, well, he does have black features. Well, hold on there, bucko. Now, to me, he only has one undeniable black feature on his face, and those are his lips. His nose is not necessarily black, and his eyes definitely aren't. I took this picture here, and I did a quick and dirty Photoshop job and lightened up his skin. Now, one thing I've noticed about Tiger Woods is he can tend to look more black or more Asian depending on the angle you get him from and what the lighting is. I've seen some pictures where he looks very Asian, and I've seen some pictures where he looks like a straight up black guy. But I think this picture is right there in the middle. I think this is a good representation of what he looks like most of the time. Now, I don't think anyone would argue that he has Asian looking eyes, but some people might say, well, look at his nose, that's a black nose. Not necessarily. Thai people have wide noses as well. Like, here's his mother. As you can see, her nose is not thin, and here's a Thai male. Now, here's an Asian figure skater. Her name is Alex Wong. I don't know which type of Asian she is, but yeah. You can still be pure Asian and have a wide nose, so his nose is not necessarily black. Now, I will note that the noses of the Asian people I showed is shaped a bit different than Tiger Woods' nose, but the point I'm trying to make is that Asian people have wide noses too, some of them. Now, if we just do a quick side-by-side between Tiger Woods and this Thai guy, I think the faces look very similar, especially with the skin lightened. Now, again, I want to stress, I'm not saying you can't see any black in him. You can. But I don't think he looks black enough to just be called black. Now, someone may be saying, okay, well, what about his hair? His hair is kind of curly, frizzy type hair. By no means is it kinky at all. But I think that even with his hair texture, the thing that makes people think he looks blacker than he is his skin color. Moving on, let's talk about the cheating. A few years back, I say about 4 years ago, when I lost my religion, I went back and re-evaluated all my beliefs from the ground up, and that includes my beliefs about morality. Before, my idea of right and wrong had to do with what the Bible said, but now it's closer to along the lines of if it doesn't hurt anybody, it's not wrong. Now, I have a few exceptions to that, but in general, if it doesn't hurt anybody, I'm going to think twice before I call it wrong. Now, I just want to add a little footnote in there that just because I may not consider something to be morally wrong doesn't mean that I would do it. I still have personal standards for myself. For example, even though I am pro-abortion, I would not get an abortion myself. I personally would have the kid and then give it up for adoption if I felt I couldn't handle it. Now, I want to further define what I mean by if something doesn't hurt anybody, I wouldn't necessarily call it wrong. I'll add to that, if it doesn't hurt anybody or force something on them that they would not choose or be okay with. And that brings me back to cheating. Is cheating wrong? Well, yes, cheating is wrong, but is having sex outside of your relationship wrong? I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. The problem comes in is if you're doing it and your partner does not know, and if they did know, they would not want you to do it. To me, that's the part that's wrong. Now, for me personally, I've actually thought about this, and honestly, I don't think it's realistic that once you marry a guy, he will never fuck anybody else as long as the two of you are married. And in fact, most people do cheat at some point in their marriage. 60% of women and 80% of men. Now keep in mind, cheating doesn't necessarily mean the full plunge. It might just be kissing or other stuff. But I don't think it's realistic for most people never to cross the line, and the line is different for different people. Maybe at kissing, maybe at fucking, whatever. Now I don't want my man to cheat, but if he absolutely has to have it, use a condom, don't get anybody pregnant, and don't have no bitches calling my house. Keep it out of my face. Again, I don't want him to cheat, but I'm grounded in reality. I know human nature. And more specifically, I know male nature. If any of you watch The Sopranos, you know that a lot of the gangsters, like Tony Soprano and his crew, they would have these women called gumas. And basically these women are their chicks on the side. And the wives had this understanding, I don't know if it was spoken or unspoken, but they had this understanding, okay, I know my husband fucks other women, but just keep it out of my face. There was a scene where Carmela, that's Tony Soprano's wife on the show, they were laying in bed or something, and she said, well, why don't you get a vasectomy? And she was kind of alluding to, so you don't get anybody else pregnant. So she wasn't clueless about his dalliances, but she did eventually get mad at him about it because one of the chicks he was boning started coming into their personal life. I forgot what it was, but the two worlds started to collide, and that's when she got mad about it. Now I want to talk about a slightly different situation, and that is the inequality in libido between men and women as they age. I've heard a lot about women getting to a certain age, like maybe late 50s or 60s, and they have very little or no desire for sex, and that leaves their husband with blue balls. I think it's sad, for lack of a better word, that a man has to walk around sexually frustrated like that. If I were that woman and I knew that I did not have desire anymore, I very well may tell my husband, you know what, keep it out of my face, but do what you gotta do. Now, in the case of Tiger Woods, what he did was wrong because his wife wasn't cool with it. But if I were her, I would probably say, I know you're an athlete, I know you travel around and I'm not always there, and there are chicks constantly throwing it in your face. Just don't leave any evidence for me to find. No babies, no diseases, no calls to the house. I think it's pretty obvious to everyone that he wasn't planning on leaving his wife for any of these chicks, and he probably wasn't falling in love with any of them. It was strictly just bonking. And again, I would not like it, but I would probably take a stance kind of like the Italian mobster wives. I kind of know in the back of my head that she's probably doing something, but if I don't see it, then I don't know how I was going to finish that sentence, but you know what I'm saying. If I did catch my man having some kind of outside relationship, I can't lie, I don't know exactly how I would react to that, but I think that once I had time to think about it, I would just probably ask him, hey, is there a problem? Is there something I can help you with? What are you getting from her that you're not getting from me? It may be that this chick is willing to do things that I'm not willing to do, or it may just be the thrill of having some new cooch. In that case, I'd probably be like, I would prefer that you didn't do that, but if you absolutely have to, be a little bit more clandestine with it and be safe about it. Do not fuck up our home life over some piece of ass. And I know that may sound like condoning to some people, but it's not. It's just saying, if you absolutely have to, protect yourself, protect me, protect us, protect our home life. It's kind of like having a teenager. I don't want my teenager to have sex, but according to the statistics, most people have had sex by 18, so I know it may not be realistic. So if they absolutely have to do it, I'd rather tell them, hey, use a condom or get on some birth control and tell me about it so I can advise you. So I want to throw this question out to all the chicks and even to men if you want to chime in how you feel about your woman. Now for men, I think I pretty much know what the answer is going to be, because men could be the biggest whores on the planet, but the minute they know some other dick is going up in their chick, they go ape shit. I think most men are dangerously too competitive to knowingly be sharing the cooch. Men don't even like to think about the fact that you were with other dudes before you got with him. So I'm interested to hear what the guy would say, even though I kind of think I know what they have to say. For the women, are you a Italian mobster type of wife, or are you an Ellen Woods? Do you say strictly absolutely no sex outside of our relationship, or are you like, I really don't want you to, but if you absolutely have to, be safe about it and keep it out of my face? And again, I want to stress that I'm not giving my man license to cheat, But I just don't think it's realistic that a man would never do anything else with another woman as long as he's married to his wife. And I feel that you can sleep with someone else and still be very much in love with your spouse. It's not an either or thing. We're just talking about fulfilling a basic human need or want, depending on how you look at it. I know all the men just said, it's a need. But yeah, that's what I'm putting out there for today. Tell me what you think.